Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is high-end versus drugstore makeup tutorial. So I haven't actually done one of these videos on my channel before, mostly because I'm a drugstore girl. The majority of my makeup is drugstore and I just tend to prefer drugstore makeup. But I have been buying some more high-end things recently and I do end up liking them as well. So I thought that I would do a high-end versus drugstore makeup tutorial to see which is better, which ones I prefer, and we'll compare the price as well. What I've done in the thumbnail of this video is I've put the cost of the high-end side and the cost of the drugstore side just to compare. So I'm going to do this side high-end and this side drugstore. So I'm pretty excited, so let's get started. Okay, I'm going to start by prepping my face. So on the high-end side, I'm going to use the Mario Badescu facial spray with aloe herbs and rose water. And on the drugstore side, I'm using the Barry Flawless Hydro Fix Primer Water. Now for primers, for the high-end side, I'm going in with the Estee Lauder, the Smoother Universal Perfecting Primer. So I'm going in with that, and I'm going to be using my e.l.f. small stipple brush. And then on the drugstore side, I'm using the L'Oreal Infallible Mattifying Primer. Okay, so for foundation, on the high-end side, I'm going in with the Estee Lauder Double Wear foundation. I really love this as a high-end foundation. I don't tend to like high-end foundations very much because it's a lot of money and it's something that I use every day. So I would have to repurchase it more often and it is quite a lot of money. So I tend to prefer drugstore foundations personally, but I do end up loving this one, and this is in the shade Shell. And then I'm going to use this Sheen makeup sponge just to blend it all in. It's so hard like to get it directly down half of my face. Such a good foundation, so full coverage and just looks flawless on my skin. It looks amazing. Now for the drugstore side, I'm using the e.l.f. Camo CC Cream. I forgot to mention that this has SPF 10 and this one has SPF 30 and this is in the shade Fair 120. It's also quite a full coverage foundation. I don't think it's as full coverage as the Estee Lauder side, and I think it might be a slight bit darker in terms of colour wise. But this is one of my favourite drugstore foundations and it's really affordable too. I love it. I'm going to use the same sponge to apply it. I think I put way too much on. It's hard to judge, isn't it? Like how much to put on because you're only doing half a face. So yeah, that's my foundation done. As you can see, both sides of my face look pretty much exactly the same. It's like I'm wearing the same foundation, which is crazy because the Estee Lauder is like £39-ish and I think this is about 12. So pretty crazy how they both look very similar and it's like way more than half the price. But I absolutely love both foundations and I would repurchase both of them. They're both amazing. Now before I do my concealer, I'm going to do some cream contouring. So for the high-end side, I'm going to be using this Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood contour wand in the shade Fair to Medium. I absolutely love this product. It is amazing. I have done a review on this on my channel. So I'm just going to contour with this. And to blend that in, I'm going to use this Morphe M436 stippling brush. And then I'm going to go over the top of that with the sponge. So I absolutely love that. It's a really natural, wearable contour. It's amazing. But it is £30, so it is quite pricey. Now for the drugstore side, I'm using the e.l.f. Halo Glow Beauty Wand Contour in the shade Fair to Light. I think this is £9, so much more than half the price of the other. I actually prefer the Charlotte Tilbury side. Personally, I just prefer it, but I don't think I'd repurchase this because this is just as good and it's like more than half the price. So it's tricky. I do prefer this side slightly, but I mean, it's a bit of a no-brainer. This is exactly the same and it's like more than half the price. Now for concealer, I am going in with the Tarte Shape Tape for the high-end side. This is the Tarte Shape Tape Contour Concealer in the shade 12N Fair Neutral. It is slightly too pale, this shade. I could have done with the next shade up, but it is a really amazing full coverage concealer. I'm going to blend that in with the same sponge. And then for the drugstore side, I'm using the Makeup Revolution Super Size Conceal and Define Full Coverage Concealer in the shade C1. This is also an extremely full coverage concealer, very similar to the Shape Tape. So my eyes pretty much look exactly the same, and I think the Tarte Shape Tape is about £27, £29, and I think this Revolution one is about £5, £5.99, something like that. So a massive difference, like a huge difference, and it looks pretty much exactly the same. So now I'm going to set my face quickly so that it doesn't crease. So for the high-end side, I'm going to use the Laura Mercier Loose Setting Powder Translucent. And then for the drugstore side, I'm using the Colourpop No Filter Loose Setting Powder in the shade Translucent. I'm going to set my eye area with the Morphe G35, and I'll set the rest of my face with the Morphe E2. So I'm going to do the high-end side with the Laura Mercier first, then the drugstore side with the Colourpop. Okay, so now that my face is set, we are looking very similar. I don't think you'd be able to tell that I've got like half high-end, half drugstore. You just won't be able to tell. It looks exactly the same, which is amazing. But it just goes to show how good those drugstore products are. And it makes you think, why are they charging so much for these high-end products when you can get pretty much exactly the same drugstore, more than half the price? However, I love every product that I've mentioned. I absolutely love the Estee Lauder foundation. I absolutely love the contour Charlotte Tilbury one. I love the Shape Tape concealer. I love the Laura Mercier powder. So, I mean, this Mario Badescu spray, I'm not thrilled by it, but I actually got this for free. I wouldn't have spent money on it. So everything at the moment I do like from the high-end side, but I just don't know if I'd repurchase because the drugstore side is just as good. So that's just a thought. Anyway, we're moving on to bronzer now. So I'm using the Too Faced Milk Chocolate Soleil bronzer. I absolutely love this product. I'm using the IT Cosmetics Heavenly Luxe Flawless Powder Brush to apply it to the high-end side. And then for the drugstore side, I'm using the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer in the shade Light Bronzer. Again, I love this one too. Now for blush, again, I absolutely love everything about this blush. Like, I wouldn't change anything about this blush. It is amazing. This is the Tarte Amazonian Clay 12-Hour Blush in the shade Party. It's like a long word, Party. And I'm using the IT Cosmetics Heavenly Luxe Flawless Blush Brush to apply it. I absolutely love this blush. Then for the drugstore side, I am using the Colourpop Pressed Powder Blush in the shade Flirt Alert. Again, very similar shade, very pretty colour. Now for highlighter, I'm actually not thrilled by this highlighter. So this is the Charlotte Tilbury Film Star Bronze and Glow Face Sculpt and Highlight palette in the shade Light to Medium. I'm not fussed on the bronzer and I'm not that fussed on the highlight either, but also mine broke, so it's a bit damaged. But I'm going in with a highlighter shade using my Real Techniques setting brush on the high-end side. And then for the drugstore side, we're going in with a fan favourite of mine. This is the Colourpop Super Shock Cheek highlighter in the shade Lunch Money. This is amazing and worth every penny, even though it's like $8, only $8. Okay, so for the eyes, I'm going to keep it super simple. I'm just using some eyeshadow sticks, but I am going to go in with the bronzers to go through the crease first. So I'm just going in with the Too Faced for the high-end side bronzer on a Morphe R37 just through the crease, just to give me a bit of dimension. Then going in with the Physicians Formula Better Bronzer on the drugstore side. I'm then going to take those bronzers on my lower lash line using my Morphe E18. Now I'm going in with some eyeshadow sticks. So on the high end side, I'm going in with this Laura Mercier Caviar Stick Eye Colour in the shade Amethyst. And I'm literally just going to pop it all over the lid and blend it in. Then I'm going to use this Morphe G16 brush to blend that in. Now I am a bit worried because I think that this is like a completely different colour. So this is the Colourpop Shadow Sticks in the shade Socialite, and I'm pretty sure it's the opposite colour, like a different, completely different colour, yeah. So we'll see how this goes. Okay, so I can definitely see a colour difference, but you know, it is what it is. This is part of the process. So now for eyebrow gel. So for the high-end side, I'm going in with this product here. It's a mini. It's the Benefit 24-Hour Brow Setter in a mini version. It's an invisible brow gel. It's a really, really nice brow gel, but I do feel like the applicator is a little bit big sometimes for eyebrows. But it does keep your brows in place for a really, really long time. And then for the drugstore side, I'm using the NYX, the Brow Glue, and this also keeps your brows in place all day too. Then I'm going to do some setting sprays. So on the high-end side, I'm using the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Setting Spray. Then on the drugstore side, I'm using the Morphe Continuous Setting Mist. Okay, eyeliners. So for the high-end side, I'm using the Charlotte Tilbury Rock and Coal Iconic Liquid Eye Pencil in the shade Barbarella Brown. Then for the drugstore side, I'm using the NYX Epic Wear Liner Stick in the shade Deepest Brown. I just prefer the drugstore on that one. It's just so much cheaper and looks exactly the same, and I feel like this is creamier to apply as well. I'm going to do this pretty much at the same time. So I'm going to curl my lashes with my Tweezerman eyelash curlers first. Then for high end, I'm using the Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk Push Up Lashes Black Mascara, super black. Then for the drugstore side, I'm using the Maybelline The Falsies Surreal Mascara in the shade Black. So I'm going to do that now. Okay, so comparing those two mascaras, I'm not a big fan of the Charlotte Tilbury one because it is quite clumpy and heavy and it does make my eyelashes drop. So I'm not a fan of that one. It's okay. I'll wear it on special occasions, but for the price, it's just not worth it. And then the Maybelline one, the Falsies one, is amazing. It's one of my new favourite mascaras. I love it. Now finally for lips, I actually found it really tricky to match the colour, and I don't think I've matched the colour very well, but we'll see how this goes. So for the high-end side, I'm using the Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk lipstick. This is iconic. It is one of my favourite lipsticks. I absolutely love it. But I really struggled to find a matching colour, and I think this is too purpley. So this is the Maybelline Colour Sensational lipstick in the shade Rosy Risk. I think it's a bit too purpley, but we'll see. Yeah, it is just a tad different. Like, you can notice it in person. I'm not sure you can on camera, I don't know. But in person you can notice that I'm wearing two different lipsticks. Okay, so I think that was pretty successful. Apart from the eyeshadow, which to be honest looks a lot better now, and apart from the lipstick, you wouldn't be able to tell that this is two completely different sides of makeup. They look pretty much exactly the same, which is crazy to me because this side, I will put the prices up on the thumbnail of how much the high-end side costs compared to the drugstore side, and honestly I prefer the drugstore side. I mean, I love the high-end items that I mentioned and I wouldn't change them, I wouldn't get rid of them, and I actually would repurchase a lot of them. But for affordability wise, and because it does the exact same job, I mean, why wouldn't you go for drugstore? So I hope this video was helpful. If you are looking to compare some drugstore and high-end makeup, I hope this was helpful, just so you can see how there isn't really that much difference. But my opinion, I would still repurchase a lot of the high-end items that I have because I love them and they are really good quality and they look and feel amazing. I have mentioned this before, I do get a lot of my high-end items on Vinted because they are brand new, still in boxes, never been opened, still sealed, but a fraction of the price. So get on Vinted if you're not on there already. I'm not sponsored by Vinted or anything, it's just something that I use and love. So yeah, that completes this video. I hope you found it helpful and I hope you liked it. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up down below. Make sure you subscribe to my channel if you're not already so you can see all my other videos. And thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye!